One job, Nightbot.
Somebody broke Nightbot. Yeah, great. Thanks, Nightbot. Love you too. Hi, everybody. We might have been on time, but we still haven't got the technical problems sorted. We're getting there. Getting there. Positives. Welcome to episode 8 of Delving into Dynasty.
Episode 8 and final of season 2.
Final of season 2. It's kind of scary, really. Not only the fact that we've been doing this 2 months and people still turn up, but
That's scary. Yeah, you're right.
Brilliant. So we've got the I suppose the wipe to look forward to next Friday. I think it was Friday, wasn't it?
Yep. I expect that'll take place late Thursday, early Friday, so that we have all of Friday moving into the weekend to do it.
Fair enough. I'll have to think of doing something different for next week's episode, then.
Yeah.
People might need more than a day to get a bit of RP going.
Well, there's a lot of people coming back with the same characters, assuming they survive the week. I expect there's going to be some story kicking up this week for it. I know there's at least 3 or 4 streams that are going to be going this week to round out stories. So we'll see who survives into season 3.
Great stuff. Some death and destruction to finish the season off. Or some more death and destruction, anyway.
I'm gonna slap Nikki so hard.
She's the one that was hiding behind Crucible's walls for the first month.
No one was hiding behind any walls for the first month. A bunch of us died day 5.
Oh, brilliant. Alright, well, yeah, so thanks everybody for joining us, and thanks for the follows and the hosts. And right, let's find out what's been going on this week, Buckle.
the biggest appearance this week, and I don't know how long if it's going to transition to the next season, is that we have a new king, Harold Sheffield, or at least he's telling people that he's king, going along with a bunch of bastards, really. And he's going around everywhere telling people that he's the king. And he's got with him someone who is presumed dead, that we saw, one of Windrush's old compatriots. We don't know. I won't name his name yet if you guys don't know, so you can figure it out in game. But so there is a tie-in there of stories wrapping up and becoming something new. And he has the unfortunate last name as Lillian's character, which of course set her off when he showed up at their gate. So I don't know if there's anything intentional there or not. But yeah, it's interesting to see, and I hope that character carries over to season 3. And there's going to be some wrap up this week with some characters, and some people are kind of laying low so that they're not killed in what will inevitably be a week of bloodlust and mayhem. If the end any kind of indication. Because the moment we heard the season 1 server was wiping, everyone started murdering everyone else, and that was hilarious. And no, we couldn't, so it didn't matter ultimately. But yeah, yeah, that happened within 5 minutes. Everyone had started hanging out on the wall with Crom and trying to take him down and couldn't. And so maybe people learned a little that time, but yeah, it's I expect it's going to be a quiet but drama intense week for a lot of people, or some of the more comedian-like characters will be out there as well. I mean, Jay is playing the new king, Harold Sheffield, so there is some humor there, but it's a little bit more the characters a bit more gravity than Rush did. Yeah, so it's been an interesting week.
Wow. Okay, so how's Rhea taking the news of a king in the lands?
Harold has been occasionally nice to her. I think he, like most men in the kingdom, has been trying to marry her. The previously thought dead character, who's now in Harold's retinue, has been trying to kill her. So there's that. So I think that if they can't convince Rhea to marry Harold, they will try to kill her to get rid of her, and pave the way for a season 3 rise to power.
Brilliant.
Wow.
Yeah. So she's not a fan of that.
Gee, I wonder why.
Either she's never a fan of the marriages, and yeah, she's pretty crafty. She can escape danger pretty quickly, because she goes about without guards all the time because we need more players on the server, but also because that's the kind of character she is. She's the character that won't be tied down and hop walls and not play the proper lady.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I expect that she's probably going to be one of the scrappier ones who survives to season 3.
Brilliant. Okay, it's going to be a interesting and fun week then.
I hope so. Yeah.
Excellent. Brilliant. Alright. Well, I guess first off, let's probably should have said hello to TreyKook first. My apologies.
It's alright. Hi.
You'd have thought after 8 weeks we'd have got things sorted, really, wouldn't you?
Hey, I told you guys are the pros. I'm just along for the ride.
Pros. So hello, welcome. Thanks for
thank you.
joining
Appreciate
us.
it. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no worries. It's our pleasure. So I was gonna, we were gonna have another person. Unfortunately, some personal matters like work getting in the way.
Yeah,
So
that
he had
happens.
to pull out.
That happens.
So guess we're left with just you.
Yeah. A very
All you
special
tonight.
episode.
Yeah.
Hey.
There we go. Special. Well, why don't you introduce us to Cornelius?
Cornelius was a he was a wanderer, scavenger, and a bit of a bastard. He was very much in the survival mode, doing what needed to be done to keep on keeping on. Stumbled his way to Crucible right after a large battle had taken place. I mean, headstones and corpses of animals still everywhere. Wandered my way down and around and ended up at Seven Hells. And, Cornelius didn't exactly know where he was and was trying to skulk his way past. And he heard armor rattling, and there was Sigurd. So, met Sigurd and Grim right off the bat. Survived that encounter, fortunately. And happened to meet Lillian and Savell at roughly the same time. Sigurd killed Savell's horse, which didn't sit well. And at that point, Cornelius skulked off into the woods. And the next day, happened to bump into Lillian again. Lillian needed some help cutting trees, so she got Cornelius to help her cut and carry a whole bunch of trees. And after that, he was, kind of part of the family. One thing about that family, though, is you get jumped in. Once they accept you, they beat the crap out of you for 10 or 15 minutes just to make it good.
Excellent. Wow. Okay. So you had a pretty hectic start to life on the island.
Yeah, really hectic. I talk a lot about the grind in this game, and I spent way too much time doing the wrong shit, and by the time I
learn somehow,
and, a lot of trial and error, and Cage actually out of game was like, okay, what do you want to do? And because if you want to do this, then you need to do this, 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 and this. And
Thanks, Jay.
And so, hi Jay. So that kind of pointed me in the right direction and definitely helped.
Nice. Oh, okay, so where did you end up down the old skill trees?
I stayed pretty much at 90 on everything. Thanks, Jay. That bang you right back at you, baby boy.
Typical Jay.
I pretty much stayed at 90 at the stuff that was important, because the time to get from 90 to 100 can be more than what it takes to get to 90 in the first place.
Yeah.
So, and that's with Decoy as the cook at in our keep. All the food was 100 quality, and still, you're talking about the difference between a skill raising, what, 0.0018 to 0.0381. Even with high quality food, it was still just a horrific grind.
Yeah, I think there's certain skills that make it a bit easier, just in the way you can actually do them. So I mean, smithing, I found pretty easy to get to 100.
Yeah, you can. Oops, sorry. Sorry.
See, your dog
Sometimes
agrees. Sorry, Buckle. I have kids who do that. So,
what, Ark?
well, pretty much.
Excellent. So yeah, see, I thought smithing was going to be really hard, but
Yeah, no.
it's not. Armor smithing, on the other hand, that takes a bit of time.
Yeah, armor smithing was really difficult.
Just keep making plate helms over and over again.
Yeah.
I know, but it takes so long to not only make them but then recycle them. And too many materials. Whereas you can constantly smith some throwing daggers pretty easily.
Fair enough.
That's what I did. I spent about 4 hours one night just smelting and resmelting throwing daggers. And that did its job.
Well, Cage was our blacksmith, and you want to talk about a grind. Cut up billets for charcoal.
Yeah.
Especially during that last patch for a little while, where it was double the speed, or twice the speed rather.
Yeah.
Or half the speed.
Half
Sorry.
speed.
Took double the time, half the speed, and yeah, it didn't take stamina anymore, but it still took forever.
Yeah. Wow. That sounds like hell.
It was only like that for a week. They fixed it. Yeah.
Not too bad then. Excellent. So, what other shenanigans have you gotten into on the server?
Shenanigans. I stepped outside of a gate I shouldn't have stepped out of. That's probably the biggest shenanigan. Cornelius was maybe one of the most boring characters on the server. In terms of story, there was Cage Decoy and I, whether it was on stream or off stream, had really good chemistry, and yeah, Jay, I know I shouldn't have gone out the gate.
It's alright. It was beautiful. I was watching that.
But just in terms of story, Cornelius didn't have a lot going on. But he found purpose with the sisters, I guess, and kind of his backstory was that he lost his parents at a young age and was pretty much left on his own from like 8 years old on. Hence the survivor mentality, and it took him a while to get used to being able to trust someone and just be around someone on a regular basis. But once the sisters trusted him, he was more than happy to return that. And basically, it became a family. At that point, Cornelius considered them his sisters as well, and let them know in no uncertain terms that he would do what needed to be done to defend them and the land. So, and that's pretty much what led to his demise.
Rather heroically, then.
Yeah.
You went out there to defend Lillian, and that was intense. Even though it was it was Halvar cut Cornelius down, Lillian got away. That's a nice turnaround from a character who was a loner, now going out there risking his life and laying it down for someone who was adopted.
Right, exactly. And we had made the decision to pretty much stay in the house, and Halvar said, "Well, I'll just come back when nobody's here, and I'll kill whoever is here." And all right, well, at that point, you've got to be dealt with, and that was the decision we made. And I don't know that either of them laid a glove on him, but
it was a good twist too, given that the night before, or was it the night before? Very soon before was the battle where the bad guys didn't come out of the house, and
right.
There was the showmanship and the stream aspect to it, where they needed to make sure they were putting on a really great show so they could coordinate and get out there and fight. No force. But that's the bad guys stayed in the house, and the good guys came out to fight. That was, you guys came out of the house, it shows integrity as characters, and I thought that was awesome. I don't know
Appreciate that.
But yeah, you guys came right out, and you're like, fine. You know what? the aggressors are here. We're going to go out and fight them right away. And I love that you guys did that.
Well, for Cornelius, as soon as Halvard got inside the walls, that was, no matter what happened after that, Cornelius was going. Because, he viewed that as an invasion. And, again, his oath to the sisters was, I'll defend you and the land to my last, if that's what it takes. And so, yeah, once he jumped the walls, there was no question that Cornelius was going.
Okay, I really thought it was awesome. Before we go on, I wanted to ask, so you guys didn't, you were actually just a random player that happened to bump into Cage and Decoy, right?
Right.
I just thought it was funny because I always assumed the civil chef was a play on Savell and Lillian the chef, and then your character's last name was Cook. And so whenever I came down there and stuff and I saw you guys together, it was Savell, the chef, which is Lillian, and your last name was Cook. I'm like, oh, that's cute. And
completely random. And actually, when Savell is a bit of an intense character. I love you, Cage. Savell is a bit of an intense character. So she had this way of walking right up to you and getting in your face, and in her Savell tone, grilling you pretty hard. And so she was like, what's your name and all that. I told her, and she was, well, maybe you're supposed to be here. My sister's a chef, and your last name is Cook. Maybe it's destiny. And turns around and walks away.
Very nice.
So, yeah, those two are. I am blessed, fortunate, honored to have been accepted and included by those two, because they are just. There were a lot of times where I had to mute my mic and just compose myself for a little bit, because once they got rolling, you either had to just get out of the way or be really quick, or you're going to get run over, because they are awesome role players.
Yeah, I didn't know if Cage played much in season 1, but we saw that for Decoy, and then bumping into Cage's character through season 2, you could see that they both have that intensity of players to them, and it's same thing. You gotta play fast, think fast to keep up with them.
Absolutely.
Definitely agree with that.
Nice.
So we know that death wasn't actually final for your character, at least not the first time.
Not the first time. We were thinking in terms of, okay, well, we can bring Wind back because he was a tree, and then the tree pops up out of nowhere, and so Merwin, who is also a member of the Keep and Cage's alt, kind of knew some stuff, and convinced Lillian that it would be possible to bring us both back. So that was the effort, and didn't quite work out. Out of character, I had the concern that if Cornelius is risen from the dead, and at some point we might have the entire server knocking on the gate, trying to get the sisters for witchcraft.
Which could have been cool.
It could have been great, but again, defend the sisters at all cost. So, but yeah, we just decided that we'll make the effort, but it will fail because Lillian doesn't have the dark energy in her to actually fully pursue the dark arts.
Yeah, watched Decoy stream the other day, and Lillian may not have that, but it's clear Decoy's got that bit of dark in her, because when she opens that bag and it's bones and then eyeballs, I was like, oh, that's twisted.
Yeah, we spent about an hour setting all that up, and She was trying to figure it out, and then she was just like, "Okay, well, I got a bag full of bones, and I got some eyes." So they moved the funeral pyre and actually dug a hole and buried it, and then uncovered it and pulled it out and opened it up, and it was very well done. You never know that was Decoy's first shot at editing. It was amazing.
I had a lot of fun watching that. And then my one question I had during that was, how did they keep you unconscious on the ground like that for so long for that take?
Lillian is a stick of hell at making potions.
Oh, so it's actually
Awesome.
motion.
Yeah, there was she gave me a potion. We did it in 2 takes. First time, I was out for about 30 seconds. Basically, what it does is suck down all your soft health down to minus 20, and kept it there for a little bit, and then you'd slowly start ticking back up.
Sorry.
And so we did it the first time. Like I said, I was down for about 30 seconds. Savell killed me, and we very nearly killed Decoy in the process because I got too close to her, and she wasn't wearing any armor. And where I got the blunt blow, Decoy got the slash across the thigh. And after it was over, she was like, "I'm almost dead." So then we figured out that we probably better, keep her as far away from me as possible. And I just, where are you going to stay? To move away from you completely. And in my weakened state, she gave me a much stronger potion, and I'm weakened. So I'm chatting in TeamSpeak. All right, I'm about to go down. Then I'm down. I check the timer, and again, it was like 5.5 minutes. And I was like, okay, it's going to be a while. So, do whatever you have to do. But yeah, that was, just amazing creativity and a lot of fun to do.
It was neat and different, and it continued that tradition of towing the line of whether or not magic exists in the world. So we have that, the gods are there, and and there was some debate on Friday about whether or not we should be able to use the gods mechanic, piety and praying away and stuff like that. Most people are in favor of it. And then, then you got Jay playing this weirdo who's a tree, and everyone just kind of rolled with it. So what else is there? Windrush established that black art storyline. Someone did it 500 years before. Right. So there's got to be something there. And because you guys ended up with Cornelius dying right away again, and then you're saying so that you don't have everyone at the door asking for the witches to do, that dark arts kind of stuff, and did it in video only. He was a weird.
You can't type that, Jay.
I mean, people had to buy into the story. I mean, because nowadays if someone said, "Hey, I'm a tree," we're gonna commit you. But in the year one, right, maybe he was a tree. So, the hell, yeah. So, it towed that line, and I know people played around with it in season 1, and I think they want to keep it a little more realistic going forward. So, doing it in that side video, I think it was just perfect. It's the world feels more alive because of it. We know that stuff is out there. We play with it just gently, so we don't have people coming back from permadeath.
Yeah.
I thought it was really well done. So nice job on that.
I appreciate that. That's all the credit goes to the Decoy and Cage on that. I was just along for the ride.
You're still starting it. You still were the walking corpse for a few minutes.
Excellent. Wow. That's I don't think I've seen that video. I guess I'll have to check that out.
What day was that? Was it Wednesday? Trey, I think that she did that on stream.
So yeah, I think so.
Yeah, check the first 30 minutes of the past broadcast for Decoy Stream on Wednesday, and then she played a video, which was what we're talking about here.
Okay, cool. I shall have to do that because that sounds awesome.
That was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Neat wrap up for the Cornelius character, and then the damage his passing had on the sisters. I think it's from someone randomly out there.
Well, and that's one thing I didn't count on the reaction, including my own, um, to Cornelius dying. I mean, there was a legitimate 3-day mourning period for me. Um, I had another character ready to go, and I dropped him in game like the next day. It didn't feel right, man. It was like your dog dying and you going right out and getting a new puppy. It just didn't. It just wasn't time. And but yeah, I mean, it probably took me about a week before I was able to you know drop my new character in. Um, and then we started talking about a wipe, and then I had to debate whether or not, you know, do I, is it time to introduce a new story, and probably not. So
I would say yeah, well, at least you get a week or so to really flex it out, right? So you can figure out
yeah,
if you go away with it, play with it, get in the personality, don't like it, Friday, do something new with it. If you
yeah,
or decide that you do like and go forward with it.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't see any harm in sort of like pre-staging your character for the next season.
Especially since some of those characters, people have confirmed some of those characters they're going to move them on because they feel like their stories aren't done. I wrestled with it personally. Do I carry it over? Do I start something new? And I'll probably carry over, but I'll also have new guys on there too. None of this alt rule stuff. That's that.
Yeah, I didn't think you'd be a fan of that one.
No, why bother? I mean, some days you want to be silly, some days you want to be serious. It's like I don't wear the same pants every day. I'm not going to wear the same character every day.
Yeah,
Wait, you don't wear the
I
same
can see
pants
that.
every day?
When they can stand up on their
You know
own.
you can get them 4 days in a row, right?
And two, I like to have multiple characters going at the same time, so it's not a complete. I already have like story established, so when inevitably I am killed by some random asshole, I then can I can segue over into someone that people have already known. But that's just me. Not everyone does it that way.
Yeah, I can't deal with multiple characters.
Well, it's actually, Trey, is this your first time role playing, or is this something you've been interested in for a long time?
Yeah, first time role playing. This is stuff that would happen in my head when I would play a game like Skyrim. But
Right.
yeah, it definitely adds layers to the game. This game is such that it is really fucking hard at times, and without the role play element, you would I would wonder a lot quicker, is all this time that I'm putting into this worth it? But to get to meet people and come out of it with 3 or 4 new friends, that definitely makes it all worth it.
So
Definitely.
it's I am blown away by the amount of first-time role players that have been on the server and how many of them just start knocking it out of the park. And I don't know if it's just because the place is just so ripe with people wanting to create stories or what it is. It's just I haven't met a bad role player. I've met characters that I personally wouldn't play myself, but they were played well. And
Right.
so I'm like, and it's not a single person that I interacted with on the server I ever thought, and which is kind of a dick thing to do anyway, but you're like, nothing ever took me out of the world. That's what I'm trying to say. None of these characters ever took me out of the world. Everyone was just giving it their all. I'm like, that's pretty badass. It's really, really badass.
Yeah, it is. It's nobody needs to comment on my hair. What the
That's why I'm wearing it.
What was I about to say?
Don't know.
Yep, I've no idea. Carry on.
So having never roleplayed before, what drew you to Twitch Dynasty and what was going on there? What made you want to get involved?
Well, the game was extremely intriguing. I dabbled with it towards the end of season 1, when it was still sub only. Figured out pretty quick that the game was a lot more fun to watch than it was to play at that point. And of course, season one ended, and I'm like, all right, I'll jump in with both feet and give it a go, and we'll see what happens. Coming up with characters is not a problem for me. I've got like 8 outlined right now.
Very nice.
Finding the voice for the character is always what's hard for me.
The physical voice or
Right,
the
the physical voice. Well, but a little of both. Until you get yourself in situations, you're not really going to know, how your character is going to react.
Mhm.
You can have an idea, but the reality and what you have on paper could be two completely different things. Like the night I ran into Crom outside of Seven Hells, right before, when you cross the boundary line and you see, Seven Hells, I'm like, oh shit. Okay. Cornelius doesn't know anything about the Seven Hells. He's just that ignorant to the political realities of the world. And so, Sigurd was less than happy to see him in the middle of the night wandering around the back of his keep. So, Cornelius, thinking quick on his feet, was like, "Oh, sir, everyone knows the Seven Hells," and immediately bent knee, and he was like, get up, get up, get up," So at that point, I figured that I was going to live, and so all was well.
Taking a gamble on thinking you're going to live even after you've been nice, but yeah, sure.
Well, considering my first character, I came into the game like 3 days after everybody had kicked off the server. And he was in game 30 minutes, maybe, until he ran across Grim. And I think he made it 34 minutes. So, and, I also am responsible, I must confess, for the complete massacre of Shield Maidens 1.0. I pretty much started that.
Good job.
Bloodlust. Thanks.
Terrible.
Not one of my happier moments on the server, but
Yeah, Mr. C has no opinions on that whatsoever.
Okay.
So when you said at the end of season 1, it was something you were more fun watching. Was that because you came in late, or was the server wipe announcement already out? What about the end of the season was kind of putting you off?
Not so much anything really put me off. It was I had no idea how to play the game. No idea how to play the game. And so my thinking was, I'll get a feel for the mechanics, and and then I figured out that it was a real grind. And then I had to reevaluate and figure out how much time I was going to have to spend on it, and then I figured out, well, I'm enjoying watching the story unfold a whole lot more than I am trying to figure out how to play this game at that point. So, and I learned a lot from watching streams. Jam and Crom have the combat system down cold. So, trying to, you watch, of course, especially this past season, watch how they fight and the movements involved. There's a lot to be learned from just watching for a while. And, that kind of helped me hit the ground running, even though I said I was doing a lot of the wrong stuff. I had a much better understanding of what it took to at least get started, and understanding how all the skills are intertwined. A game like Skyrim or any of the Elder Scrolls games, all your skills are in silos. If you want to be good at fighting, you work on fighting stuff. In this game, if you want to be good at fighting, you have to farm, you have to mine, you have to forge, and so it's all kind of tied together. And makes for one big happy character. We hope.
Um, okay, that's encouraging because before we went live, I was talking about joking around if season 3 doesn't kick off with all those waitlisted people hopping on. Excuse me. Then you're like, well, maybe it will now because people have had that opportunity to watch and they're just waiting for that blank slate to hop in with both feet like you did. Excuse me. All right then. So then, once you are in, doing all the, doing things wrong. It's hard to really do things wrong, and life is futile. You just may go down the wrong path for a little while, but you can undo it. Was it the interactions with the sisters that kept you going? Was it the fact that you were a smaller part of a large story that spanned everyone? What was the continued appeal for you?
The sisters were a big part of that, and with where they were situated on the map, there was a complete cross section of the entire server that would come and visit. LT, who was Tybalt, he was around a lot. People from Southreach would stop by. Shield Maidens would stop by. Grim and Sigurd would stop by. Those visits were always a little more tense than some of the others, but so there was a lot of interaction there, not just with the sisters, but with everybody, and that was a lot of what kept me engaged, and plus like I said, just being around Cage and Decoy on a daily basis and working with them, and you're either going to get better or you're going to get left behind, and I feel like they made me at least a little better at everything every single day.
That's a good answer.
It's a pretty good fucking answer.
Yeah, there's always something to be said for I've said it before that you like to improve on roleplay, go to the places that are uncomfortable for you to expand on, push the things you don't know how to do, because the people around you are going to pull that out of you, and it sounds like that's what they did. I mean, you never roleplayed before, you jumped in with people who were solid at roleplaying, and you kept up.
Yeah.
And you made a convincing character.
Yeah, it was like, the first day, I explained it to Cage out of character one day. It was like, well, Cornelius is like a lost puppy, and, Lillian would totally bring home a lost puppy. And she said that was accurate. And, the first day that I was in game with the both of them, when I was helping Decoy cut and carry trees, I got a note from Cage on, and my DM was like, "We're keeping you." that immediately, was reassuring, and I could relax at that point and just kind of let my character go.
So, okay, I can see it kind of like a bit of a validation that, hey, that the people count me as a role player kind of thing.
Right. And basically, we accept you and welcome to the family, sort of.
That's great. Yeah,
Cool.
It's a great situation to be in.
Yeah.
Very nice. So, okay, before you sort of got that validation, did you find yourself sort of getting stressed out by maybe jumping into uncomfortable places?
Yeah, a little. I mean, because you never know how people are going to react to you in terms of, whether your personalities are going to mesh, either in character or out of character. So, yeah, you're kind of on your best behavior, but at the same time, you're trying not to overthink anything. But yeah, there is a feeling out process when it comes to, you know, finding yourself in a weird situation, and you know, that was kind of where we were, or I was with them. And plus, you know, Cage and Decoy are really tight, and you know, there's already a bond there, and you know, they have their little inside banner, and you know, it can either scare the hell out of you, or you're just like, oh, okay, it is what it is. I'm one in real life that, you know, if I love you, I'm going to pick on you, and you know, if I'm talking shit to you all the time, that's you're in good standing.
Yep, I know just how that goes.
Yeah. Okay. So I suppose, in a degree, that sort of existing friendship between Cage and Decoy came through in their characters. Does it ever make you feel almost like a third wheel?
Sometimes, but again, you know, they were very accepting of me early, and some of our most fun moments were, you know, when, you know, Decoy wouldn't be streaming. We were just, the three of us were working on our grinds, and somehow or another we would all end up in one common area for like 2 minutes, and one comment would be made, and then, you know, 20 minutes have gone by of just back and forth, and you know, everything is flowing, and there was a great vibe. There was a great vibe there, and I'm going to miss it a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine having spent sort of so much time with them, and then to perhaps maybe not do it coming up.
Yeah.
How are you going to deal with that? Are you just going to maybe go find some more people, try and get the same?
Maybe, you know, I'm not real sure yet how I'm going to handle it when season 3 rolls around. I'm trying to gauge interest in, you know, and just jumping in with a group right off the bat, or doing kind of what I did in season 2 and just winging it for a little bit and seeing who I can catch on with. But you know, that's I don't know. There's time to think about that. I'm still trying to wrap my brain around the end of season 2 at this point.
Yeah, I'm finding myself in the same spot. I've been playing with the same group of people for 2 seasons, and I'm going to continue to do so with a smaller group of them, because some have kind of moved on. You know, after 800 hours in a game, they're a little tired.
Yeah.
But I was hoping the whitelist was going to kick off a little more strongly, and then I was going to create a character, just a brand new character, and go see who I could get myself in with, kind of thing, and come up with a new group. And I may still do that this time around. We'll see if the server's back up full. I'll have, you know, my main character, then I'll do the same thing. I'll just kind of wing it with someone else and see who I bump into.
Right.
Yep. But the voice thing, I can't do voices. So, and I guess after you've been playing with the same 60 or so people, you can start picking people up by their voice. So I hope most people overlook that, because I can't do a voice. I'm not classy pack, so just
right.
The same voice could have a different name, and this goes for everyone. Just roll with whoever it is.
Right.
Damn classic packs with this talent.
Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it? It's terrible. I'm Decoy.
It's the worst thing ever. Yeah, but at least with Decoy you can catch the voice now. You're like, oh yeah, that's Decoy. And then you go.
The first time I heard that laugh though was Lillian. Terrifying. Terrifying.
I'm like, yeah, it's cute.
You know, it was at that point I had no idea it was Decoy. As far as I knew, she was playing Ira, and so, but you know, after being around her for so long, you learn the various inflections of the laugh. There was the something's truly funny laugh. There was the I'm real pissed off laugh. And then there was the really psychotic laugh. You know, but depending on the situation and the laugh you heard, that kind of gave you a feeling of where Decoy was coming from with Lillian on that. And there were times where, depending on the laugh you heard, it might be time to just go in the house.
I'm gonna go find some chore to do somewhere on the other side of the property.
Yeah, I think there's a tree that needs to be cut down in the far corner over there.
So aside from the sisters, and you mentioned Tibble, and some other, did you get out off into the other keeps? I mean, barring the first character who caused the murder of all Mr. C's friends and family. What are the storylines did you get involved in?
I didn't really get involved in storylines. There was so much going on at our place in terms of what we were trying to get built that, the sisters would go out far more than I would. I would go, I did a lot of digging and mining and stuff like that. But, and I would interact with people there. But in terms of just, say, okay, I need to go to Crucible, that didn't really, it really wasn't what my character was about. After it started as a joke, but then I kind of realized that it worked. Cornelius, pretty much lived in a hollowed out log, and he had once he finally had a home, he didn't really want to leave home a whole lot. And he was happy to do what needed to be done at home. And, again, there were enough people coming to us that the need to travel wasn't great.
Yeah, I think that's true for a lot of people, and that some of them would rather stay and build and expand their town and be townfolk kind of thing, and then do the interactions as they come to them. And some would go out and bounce around the various towns, and probably wouldn't do a lot of building back at home. But yeah,
Right.
Yeah, and I think it really requires both, and that's true for real life. I mean, you have people who hang around in town and do work, and some who go between the towns doing work, or causing trouble, or starting wars, or murdering people. Yeah.
Well, and, Savell told Cornelius, pretty early on that, there was a lot of trouble to be found outside, and Cornelius knew that to some degree, but once she said that, it was, Cornelius was just happy to hang out at the house, and not get in any trouble.
Both Cage.
Yeah. Hey, old dog.
Can I ask?
Kate, I always say nice things about you, hon. You know that.
So, I guess, because we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago about being sort of almost like a plot character and then a background character.
Mm.
So, I guess you're sort of falling more into the background character, just getting
Yeah.
things sorted. Let the other people go out there and get in trouble. Did
Well,
you
trouble.
sort of ever completely lost my trail of thought here.
Sorry.
Did you ever sort of not feel involved at all? 'Cause
No.
No.
I like I said, we had out of game. We would talk a lot about what we wanted to do with the land, and so between learning how to do what needed to be done and then doing what needed to be done, and again just being able to interact with Cage and Decoy the way I did, kept me plenty involved, kept me plenty interested, and that was, again, like I said, some of our best moments as a group were when it was just us, the eyes of the gods were not on us, so to speak, and just one comment would would start us down just a path of hilarity.
Awesome.
Seems to be the case for the two of them.
Yeah, except for the time when the mute monk woman showed up. That was a spot of trouble for Cornelius.
I'd like to see less mutes in a game that only has voices. Sorry. There was a lot of really tough. I don't want to look at the local tab. I want you to interact with me. But tell us more about that story. I didn't realize it was
completely random. This was like I hadn't been there, in game with them in 3 days, and we didn't have walls or the fence, and so people were constantly riding through the keep. This woman shows up on horse, who, she's not speaking. She's chirping, and then we finally figured out she was typing. She was communicating. We were deciphering her chirps through local chat. And, she wanted to do combat training, so she came with novice armors of all types, combat weapon or practice weapons of all types, and so she and Cornelius basically spent 30 minutes combat training. She says, "Well, come back with me, and we'll continue training." Okay, where do you live? Well, we're on the top of the mountain. Okay, tell me a little bit about your what's going on. And she's like, "Well, my brother has this prophecy, but he's not telling any of us what it is." And I'm like, "Yeah, no thanks." I said, "Well, I will go ask," and I was doing this as a courtesy, and see if it's a good idea. And so I went to Savelle, and granted, I asked the question badly. What would you think if I went with this woman to go train, and that way I'm able to defend the land better and you better? And Savelle went bug shit, completely bug shit, and just irate, and rightfully so. She viewed it as a breach of trust, when I was just Cornelius was looking for guidance on whether or not he should make this trip. He knew in his gut that, if he went up that mountain one way or another, he's not coming back. Whether it's he was just captured or killed or sacrificed or whatever. But basically, Cornelius was looking for confirmation that no, you should not go. So yeah, that started like a 3-day, not battle with Savelle, but a 3-day run of serious tension.
Okay.
Savelle made Cornelius carry a painting for one of the Shield Maidens. I think it was Britta Esper.
Yeah.
And carry it down the beach. And at the time, I'm just new to armor, so I still have the encumbrance. And yeah, it took like 6 forevers to get that painting down to the beach. And then Esper needed to kick my ass in the fighting pit for an hour. And that's all. I ran into Windrush for the first time. Cornelius didn't think a lot of Windrush when I first met. After Lillian expressed her feelings for him, Cornelius accepted Windrush as family again. So.
Alright, we got a couple of things there, and I want to get to all of them. That painting, Vesper's such a troublemaker. She knew it was for her, but her character didn't, so she just stole it and gave it to you, and I was laughing the whole time you were carrying that up the beach. That was hilarious. Because she was drunk off her ass and couldn't see where she was stealing the painting to. Fucking Lillian. Uh, it was Jay's painting, but they put it out on the tree outside as the truce between Crucible and Seven Hells. I don't even understand. And the best part's like 1 day back from PAX. Let's steal this painting. Poor Cornelius to walk it up the beach. Yeah. So the monk on the mountain, was that the Sanctuary Fighting Academy, or was this completely separate?
I can't remember. I can't remember what the name of the keep was. I ran into it. I just got on a horse one day and just started riding around to see what else was out there. And I think I ran into it, and it's way up on top of the mountain. And I was like, oh, so that's where this is. And yeah, there's at that point, Cornelius knew that he wouldn't come back from here.
See, that's interesting, because if there wasn't such a menacing tone to it, I'm thinking because I know that Sanctuary was built on the side of a mountain, so it wasn't that high up, so maybe it wasn't them. But they had a fighting academy run by Minu, and love him or hate him, I like the guy's role play, and he was a fantastic fighter, and he was training people in game to fight. So I'm just thinking, had Cornelius gone and it was legit and learned to fight at the training academy, would he have survived against Halvar later? But I don't know, Savell was like, oh, he died at home. Well, you could let him train. Just throwing it out there, kid. Throwing it out there. You might have saved Cornelius' life and let him go.
Well, Savell was like, I put the clothes on your back, and this is how you pay me. Being good with people, he was like, well, he couldn't understand the reaction. Did you see this as a breach of trust, or and I'm sitting here trying to figure it out myself, out of character. I was like, that's very much a girlfriend kind of reaction. So then I have to kind of feel that out in character, and which only made things far worse. And at that point, you go, oh, okay, all right, I got it. Definitely not a girlfriend reaction. Okay, now we're family. You're my sister and a potential romantic interest person.
So that first meeting with Windrush, you said you didn't. That was the first time you met him there, and then he got around and then eventually settled more or less in that relationship with Lillian. What was it about the character that Cornelius didn't like?
Windrush talked more shit than Lillian. That was really it. I mean, and Jay and I have talked about this out of character. Cornelius was exceptionally salty over what was going on with Savell, because he was confused. He was mad because he was catching hell, and and now I'm carrying this painting and it's taking forever. Savell wants me to go. She says, "You want to combat train? Fine. Here's a shield maiden. She'll kick your ass and you get trained." And Esper in that damn shield bash, man.
She's not fast to turn.
So yeah, and Windrush is just over there just jabbering away the whole time I'm in the fighting. So tempted again, and not wanting to get in Cornelius into any more trouble. So tempted to be like, you know what? Why don't you grab a sword and come on? And but I didn't, because I didn't know at that point that Windrush couldn't fight. You did beat the hell out of me. Bashed my head in with a practice hammer. You shot your shot, brother. But yeah, that was my first encounter with Windrush, and then Savell tells Cornelius that Wind and Lillian kind of have a little unspoken thing going, and I was like, not real happy about that. He's like, oh, you need to tell Lillian but you feel. Nah, not a good idea. Not a good idea. Well, again, it all worked out.
Well,
We
until you
all,
died.
well, yeah, we all had to sit down, and when we had to sit down, and this was when right before the shit hit the fan. Um, Lillian told Cornelius that she did have feelings for him. She wanted him to be um, a part of her life, and at that point, Cornelius said, "Well, if that's the case, then he's family, and all is forgiven."
I guess you weren't one of a customer at the Flux Trading Company then.
It's one place I never got to. I never got over there, and that might be a good thing. That might be a good thing.
Excellent.
Just pottery everywhere. I don't know what else they sold. It was pottery floor to ceiling. Just, not sure what they were trading for, but
Who knows?
Anyway.
Great stuff.
So for season 3, you said you got like 8 characters banging around inside your head there, and first time role playing. Where do you see yourself going next? And don't give anything away if you want to like reveal it on in game and whatnot. What do you want to explore next?
That is the great question. I've got one guy who could potentially be king. That's whether or not I want to. Me personally, if I want to deal with that. 2 or 3 that could be real class A asshole bad guys. Not quite, not quite Grim Gray level, but because that's he broke the mold. And I say that I loved Gray. I'd decide if I wasn't staring down the point of his sword. But I don't know. I kind of don't mind being the behind the scenes guy. So yeah, I could go in any number of directions.
There's never going to be a behind the scenes guy unless you're playing Wizard of Oz. So don't sell yourself short on that.
True.
It's everyone on and this is of equal importance, no matter what you do, whether or not you stream it, don't stream it. You're king, you're not king. Everyone has the same weight to them in the world. Kings are fun to play, but they're always going to have shit thrown at them. They're going to have warrants on their head for whatever reason. So yeah, that's going to be whether or not you want to deal with that. Never sell yourself short with that. And bad guy's interesting if you can go that route. That can get you the same kind of salt, though.
Yeah. The one that intrigues me the most is being the power behind the power, so to speak.
Okay.
If sort of like basically the king's puppet master, that appeals to me. Where I can be as ruthless as I want, and the king is catching the hell for it. So that's kind of intriguing and appealing. But then again, there's gonna have to be a king established. I'm gonna have to be in good with him, and at a point where I can assume and exert that kind of control and power. So there are a lot of variables built into that character.
There are. And you can do it a bunch of different ways, too, latching onto someone you see rising the power and never have any out-of-character contact with them, or to the other extreme, working something out with someone, I'm going to set you up for this, are you cool with that, in RP kind of thing, and then they can roll with me and make it a little bit easier. Or something in between. Yes, decoy royalty is sometimes fun. Right up to the point they take your head off.
It's okay, decoy survived.
She did. She did.
Just putting it out there.
Yeah. I don't know, but Jam keeps talking about bringing Asher and his child back, and no mention of Zoo.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Nah, I think you mentioned some of just different schedules and whatnot.
Well, and scheduling is, that brings up an interesting point, having an Aussie in the group. Gage pretty much converted me to Australia time. One reason I went 3 months on 4 hours of sleep a night.
Yeah. Yeah, we did the same thing to Nikki. She was the only not full-time player who was not American. So, yeah, she was on U.S. Eastern Time, just suffering from it. Yeah, I know that for this next round, or at least they're going to be adding time zones and whatnot, so that the server's constantly full, as opposed to 7 p.m. to midnight Eastern on a weeknight kind of thing, so that we get a lot of that, so that the people in the UK and the people in Australia have people to play with and don't have to mess up their schedules. So, if you sleep in 4 hours a night so we can hang out and play with you, yes, you did convert them to Australian time. That's the power of the game, man. You just love what everyone's doing. You don't want to miss a minute of it. It's like, I kind of equated it in my own mind to like those opening weeks of Warcraft, and whenever you guys can pick it, the first time an expansion rolls around where you don't want to miss a thing. It's the same thing. So much cool stuff was going on. I don't want to watch it on VOD. I want to be part of it. And I think that was affecting a lot of everyone. Would you two get your marital squabbles out of chat, please?
Yeah, this is not the place for domestic.
Take it easy, LT.
We'll get you on camera for that next week. Catch you later, LT.
So we got a week until the wipe. Think we've convinced you to play your character a little bit in that time, or are you going to take a breather for the inevitable, 36, 72 hour awake slog that's going to be next weekend?
Yeah, I probably will. I'll dabble a little, but yeah, I think I need just a little bit of a break, for no other reason than to just kind of put this season to bed, because with developments being what they were, the last 2 weeks have been hard, just outside of what happened with my character, but just a lot of the other unmentionable crap, too. So just to kind of, wash all that taste out of the mouth and start with a new slate, I think it can be a good idea for me.
Yeah. So you're part of the discussion on Friday. I think we agreed a lot on what we were looking for out of the next season. Of any of the proposed rules, which ones jumped out that were most exciting to you, that you thought that were a good overall positive change?
I think permadeath, of course, and enforcing it is going to be the big one. To the point where, and I think you guys have to do this server side, but going ahead and deleting those characters out. Because I've tried to delete my old characters and I can't do it. So I don't know if you guys have to do it server side or what.
I don't know what they have access to, but I agree with that.
It's an interesting idea.
But that also is depending on the honor system and somebody being like, hey, I'm dead. Or game glitch. Yeah, if you don't do glitch, or you can't delete characters because of glitch.
That's a shame.
The only reason I wouldn't want to delete them right away is because if I wanted to make some movies or something like that, I could use my same character and just in the quiet time or something, I could go back and take some screenshots and stuff. But
I suppose the other way is if the leader of a monument dies, Because I don't think there's any way to take control of a monument, is there?
That's
You
a good
have to
point.
give
Yeah,
it.
I had to log back in that character and transfer it over to someone, then logged back out, and it's still got like the same like 2 hard hit points from when I died. It's just sitting there. Yeah.
But you know, for zombie Cornelius, I
Patient zero confirmed.
the character and gave him a different name, just so you know, to avoid any entanglements of you just back because, like I said, I had a character that was um, building his shack on the side of the mountain. Sun gods came, 3 wolves spawned in like 10 feet from him. That was the end of that guy. And I commented him and nobody saw it. So I'm a big proponent of the permadeath thing. And it also keeps, you know, keeps anybody from coming back out during a battle. And,
Sure.
you know, logging back in, you know, basically the same skill points, the same level of badassery, and jumping right back into the fight. I think that's the big one. Having a definitive ending point, I think is, I think that's vital. And I know it was just an informal, but just the mere mention of the word wipe had a decimating effect.
Yep.
The fear involved.
Yeah, I know he didn't intend for it for sure, especially since he said he wasn't going to be playing on it much for a little while. You know, just develop content elsewhere on Daisy server. But yeah, it had a really devastating effect, as you were saying, to the population. And yeah, but
Just a quick.
it's
Melly, are you alright if we talk about what was discussed on Friday? Just let us know in chat. If you just want to go
on
over it.
stream, so I hope so. Because I'm going to talk about it anyway.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm losing Trey periodically in sound. You getting the same thing, Steve? It's just on my end.
Occasionally, yeah.
Okay.
I'm just trying to keep an eye on it.
Permadeath I like. To kill your character that no one saw because 3 wolves spawn on you, that's badass. I would not do that because fuck that. It's a game and people are going to see my death. But that's intense. That's like, I don't know, like the finale to The Grey. Spoiler, he doesn't die to the wolves. Whatever. But that's intense, and I applaud that because if I'm out hunting and a bear mauls me, I'm running back and getting my gear. I don't even give a fuck.
Oh, really? See, I was going to do that if I got had by a bear or wolves. Even if no one was around.
Yeah, if no one was around, I would go ahead and get it. If I'm out with people or something as part of RP and I die and there's people, you know, it's not like whatever my team speak crew or something like that, I'd probably go with that. You know, we're out in a hunting party or something like that. Like, oh shit, I get mauled, whatever. Oh, okay, well that's the end of that character. I guess it all depends on the perspective. So, but that's intense.
That's because you hunt them alone, Nikki.
Then she goes and puts dirt back on the corpse. No one sees it.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a few times where I had to literally smash that flee button and run. Because for some reason, taking a giant mace to the side of a wolf doesn't actually do much damage.
No. They have natural leather hide, leather armor, so you need to go with slashing weapons on those things, which I found to my chagrin the first time I tried to fight a wolf with a hammer and it kicked my ass.
Yeah.
A shovel was my weapon of choice, and that didn't go well.
The shovel seems to be pretty powerful, and if I were to make a Life is Futile like a coat of arms, it would be a sword crossed with a shovel, because it kind of symbolizes the terraforming you gotta do and all that stuff, but it also, because so many people were not fighters, and they took the tool which was at hand, which was a goddamn shovel, and they smashed people in the face with it. So, I agree with that.
I saw Lillian kill a boar with a shovel. Actually, she didn't kill the boar, she tamed the boar, and knocked it out and ended up putting it.
And she beat its ass with a shovel and said, now you're mine. And, okay. So Melly listed them out, the other things. Set the date of future wipes. I'm not a fan of wipes at all. I'd rather, unless you mean like the server is like crawling along to a halt, but it wasn't this time. But whatever. But setting that date for the future wipe, I dig it. I think that should probably take away some of the debate and discussion from it, the real main sticking point. I don't know if you guys agree with that or not.
I do, very much. Because, like I said, I made the point that, there's been a lot of time spent building, and there's been RP involved too. We're just not like hiding in our house and just building. But with Decoy and Cage, they're and like I said, it takes probably longer to get from 90 to 100 than it does to get from 0 to 90.
Yeah, depending on the skill, yeah.
So yeah, and I think Maryland had how many Grandmasters Cage? 6 or 7. So that kind of effort, I don't necessarily want to see go away after 2 months. As long as functionality is there, then let it go. As long as it's going to go, would be my blue sky perfect world opinion. But I mean, I understand. If numbers fall off and interest is starting to wane, then do what we have to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would. I just didn't. I wasn't a fan of seeing. Yeah, seven Grandmasters for me, which is I can't imagine. It boggles my mind just to try to visualize that.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of effort that's going in. Yeah, if we're on a 2 or 3 month life cycle, and that kind of lets you know where the boundaries are, when it's time to basically stop working and we need to stop here.
Yeah. Brief pause. See, you want to try to disconnect and reconnect into the call? Just see if we get a sound quality back up.
Yeah. Yep.
Hold on 1 sec, Trey. We're gonna do some because we're losing your audio almost entirely now.
I will call you back in just a moment.
Okay.
Thanks for being patient, guys.
Alright.
I think that's pretty cool, Melly. If there can be a set date, I like that. I think that actually you and I were talking about that like a day or two before. That like here's the date of the planned thing, but if no new content patches have come through or something like that, and game population
Better.
is still high,
Not better.
that sounds like that's a fair trade-off. Try something now, Trey.
Better. Not better. Good.
Way better. Now we can hear you.
way better.
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah. Good. See.
I was just say, personally, I kind of like the idea that to get the set dates put in, because then
Yeah.
I suppose you sort of know almost like where your end goal is.
Right.
Yep.
Because I can
Yeah.
imagine a lot of people had no plans to sort of end their stories anytime soon.
Well,
until
and
the
we
idea
were
was
still
mooted.
making plans. We were I think the day the
Set your screen capture. Sorry. It's two of us.
what?
Two of me.
the day that the wipe was announced, Cage and I were terraforming for new buildings. So I mean, we were still planning to build, and so I mean, again, that's
People are going to see
knowing
magic. Sorry, carry on.
knowing when that end is coming, then that's a big help.
Yeah, and that way, you know how big to go, how expansive you want to go. It's good, and you can assuming you get to live those 3 months, you get to create a nice
Right.
arc, hopefully a nice arc for yourself.
But and it's not just the building; it's the maintaining too.
Sure. Yep.
Again, Cage and Decoy wanted quality 100 cows, quality 100 horses. As far as that could go, and that's a grind in and of itself.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, sure. And you would hope that you get enough time near the end of the season to enjoy the fruits of your labor and then keep going with it. But maybe that kind of thing can help foster trade. I may be breeding several quality 100 cows. Can I trade those for some quality 100 horses kind of thing? And that way, you can focus on one thing, figure out who's focusing on the other things, and you kind of have the time for both of you. Yes, Decoy, we know Lily needed the best, otherwise she would murder everyone.
I'm boony from the sounds of it. Do you think as well that with having sort of a set schedule, maybe people won't train their skills as high? So if you spend the first month beating the hell out of each other just to get all your combat skills up to 100, is that maybe not a bit of a waste of time? Or do you think people still do it?
So let's do 100%. Sorry, Trey, go for you.
I was going to say, in season 2, as soon as, much to Cage's chagrin, but as soon as I was accepted into the group, I was like, we need to start combat training. Because I looked at it from a strategic standpoint, especially once the road was built. When Subutai built the road, we were at a major transit point. We had road on 2 sides of us. The beach was the main travel point from Seven Hells to Shield Maidens, and that's why we had constantly had people rolling through the keep, because they would cut through the woods and not know we were there, and then all of a sudden they're in the middle of Lillian's kitchen. So looking at it from a strategic standpoint, I was like, we need to be ready for anything. And especially after Lillian said she wanted to have the best cider and the cider festival, and somebody had better cider, and Lillian was not happy. And so I kind of foresaw a cider war brewing, and yeah. So yeah, I was we need to be ready, and before everything was Seven Hells, Jam decided to take the break before PAX. That's my point, was at some point we're going to have to pick a side. We're either going to have to pick the Seven Hells, or we're going to have to pick the fight against Seven Hells, and we're going to have to be ready to fight no matter which way we go, because they're going to come around and they're going to make us make a decision. And this was about the time that all of the treaty stuff was going on, and so yeah, I think in season 2 the political situation was such that combat training was extremely important. I just got over 2 weeks of that, so no worries, man.
That's why I muted my camera. I was sneezing my face off.
Sorry.
But yeah, like I said, the political situation dictates behavior. If you're in a highly contentious time, then you need to be ready. Because the point that I made, that Cornelius made to Savelle and Lillian both, was it's a whole lot better to be ready to fight and not have to fight than have to fight and not know anything. So, and the 3 of us would spend time, especially later on, sparring and training armor and all that stuff. So
yeah, and it's a point of pride for player and character both to hit that 100 skill.
right.
Yeah, so you get the trick move to show off, if your combat ability, you get 100 quality cider to make decoy scream. If 100 cooking and farming and stuff, it's a point of pride to do that. And people have done so well at saying, instead of saying, oh, it's a quality 98 cider, they're like, oh, this is fantastic, that kind of thing. Or the craftsmanship on this weapon. You want to make that quality 100 armor, you want to make that quality 100 weapon, and you want to feel badass in your quality 100 skill wearing it. Because obviously, if you're wearing and using quality 100 stuff and your skill doesn't match it, it's going to go down to your skill level anyway. So you want to feel like the best. And there are tips and tricks, the food quality things, or to get there. So I don't know. Like, it doesn't take that long to do 1 to 100. Cage got 7 to 100 because she's psychotic. It all depends on really where you want your character to go. And knowing that I have 3 months, that time's going to be dedicated. Some of the time to getting 100 and something. And it's easy to get it like farming and stuff like that, but some of the things not so much. But the combat skill is a little bit easier because you can practice and you can do it. You can practice with other people. And combat training is one of the best ways to get RP interaction with other people. Like, go to different towns. Teach me how to do this. I'll teach you how to do that. And you get to talk and you have the great. You can have a montage. But like, we would have people who come to us. Just in game, for example, is like, teach me how to fight. Like, all right, boy, we'll teach you how to fight, and then you start, kicking the shit out of them for fun. And like people throwing on their new armor, and you go all around them, you start punching them and stuff, and it's a lot of fun to get the skills up there. So yeah, I think with 3 months for sure. Because what are we on? Day 48, 49, season 2.
About that.
Yeah.
So 90 days is more than enough to get to 100 and a couple characters and really strut your stuff. But some people don't care. Some people will get to 90 because that's good enough to get the best stuff, and that extra 10 is icing on the cake. But.
Well, and I think it depends on what you need for your keep. With me coming in with the sisters when I did, I kind of got decent at everything. Whereas, because they were already really good at some things, between the two of them, I didn't need to focus on food or anything down that tree because Decoy had already maxed it out. Same with Cage and smithing, she had already maxed all that out. So with Cornelius, I focused on combat training, armor training, and building. Because I had to, with what we wanted to do, basically Cage did a lot of that work because of the time differences. She did a lot of that work herself, and so so I could pop on in the 3 or 4 hours before she was able to get on. I could at least get something going, and just to help out a little. So, but yeah, I kind of got decent at everything, not really good at any one thing. But I think, the needs of your keep pretty much dictate the skill tree that, an individual should pursue.
You do that, yeah. And that's where some alts can come in too. I know some people are very divided on that, but I wanted to learn how to do blacksmithing, but we had blacksmiths in town, so I just created a character to go elsewhere, grab some iron and stuff, and just practice it because I wanted to learn how the skill was. It was the one tree I hadn't gone down.
Right.
So, yeah. And one thing I started seeing people do this time around was they would have their town alts, their craftsmen and stuff, who would have limited backstory kind of things, wouldn't really leave town. They would do some crafting, and then they would have their story character who had 0 crafting and just all fighting or no fighting. Just that's the character they went out and caused trouble with.
Right.
So I saw a bit of that too. But, yeah, I don't know. Just want to have people who want to do all the skills, everything themselves. With 1,500 skill points, you get a lot of leeway to explore lots of things. Not that you're using it full time.
Yeah. Well, man, and that's the thing too. If you spend too much time in one area, and you figure out that you need to be in something else, you're kind of screwed unless you're going to backtrack and set all of those points to go down. And you've got to be careful with that because there are things in those other trees that you need, and if you cut them down too low, you're going to hurt yourself in other areas. So it's a fine line, man. I mean, you kind of have to know what you want to do, and like I said, depending on who you catch on with, what you have to offer or what you can offer, kind of dictates what skills you pursue.
Yeah, sure. You want to start jumping into questions, see?
Yeah, sure. So we got a couple from earlier, but if anyone else in chat's got any questions, feel free to post them. So we've kind of had a couple of questions or comments about the other server that sprung up, Forgotten Chronicles. So Painkiller is awesome. Wants to know if any of us are going to move to the new server. I know I'm not, purely because if I actually can get time over the next few weeks, I'll be back on Dynasty. It's just work's been kind of killing me with that recently.
Good time, McWillie out, okay?
Okay, cool. Yeah, go for it. Sorry, Willie.
Cage, nice.
Cage.
I've checked out the Forgotten Chronicles server. We've been playing on it a little bit. I know some other people have, kind of just because that's where people have been playing. I prefer to play on Dynasty, and I hope that the population picks up, and if it does, I'll probably won't play Chronicles at all. But if the population doesn't pick back up, I'll probably transfer over to Chronicles full time.
I'm undecided. I don't know. Chronicles looks like it might be a little more grindy, which, and I understand why. You want that 100 to be, a real achievement. But, with my time being such that it is, it's going to be difficult for me to devote even more time to just developing a workable character in a game. So I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. I love the game and I want to play it in some fashion, but that's the decision I have to make, is how much time can I devote to it.
Yeah, just along the lines of the skill caps, like, I can respect the people who want it at 1,000 and want the skill not to be so high, so easily obtained. But yeah, there's only so many hours in a day. Some of us, have 40, 50-hour work weeks.
Yeah.
Kids, responsibilities, and shit like that. Like, the last thing I want to do is come home and start another full-time job just so I can, make some goddamn billets, that kind of thing. So that's where I like Dynasty more than Forgotten Chronicles, just for the skill caps anyway.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to take a 9-hour horse ride across the island to go maybe trade with someone to get something if I could just bust it out myself so I can move on to my project.
Right.
If I have the time, I have a Saturday to go roleplay, let's fucking do it. Let's go hang out with people. Like, I need some nails, I've got chickens. What can we do together? But
right. Right.
I don't have that every day, and sometimes I just want to make some coops, So, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I made a lot of mortars and pestles, and just if you ever found any random bags of like 15 mortars or pestles, that was probably me.
Yep,
I think everybody does
best
that.
thing to do. Yeah, well, you're mining. Like, what do I do with all this rock? Do I throw it on the ground, or do I make 500 mortar and pestle? And that's the one freaking thing out of shaping you can't make autocraft on, which is so frustrating.
Yep. Getting water was the worst. Getting water was the absolute worst before autocraft.
Yeah, one thing I learned a lot of people were doing was setting up a barrel next to it filled with water, and someone would be, go out there and get all the water while watching TV or something like that and fill it up for everyone else. And then, of course, you're supposed to refill it when you fill it, but nah, that's not. So much, Nick. I hate you so much. Anyway, moving on, next question.
So, the next question came from Zippadelli. He wanted to know that with a lot of people going over to the Forgotten Chronicles and with Twitch News still being around, what is the future for our program? Will there be multi-coverage or will we stay with Twitch?
I don't think we've discussed it, but...
Yeah.
Honestly, I can't see us doing multi-coverage.
Yeah, I agree.
It's two separate realities to me. That's just the way I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A a lot of the players have moved over there. A lot of people we've interviewed have been playing over there, and it could be, we haven't asked them, are they coming back for season 3? But I would expect a lot of them. Hopefully, they can put any bad experience they've had, because I'm sure it's like 5% of their overall experience have been bad. So they come back and give it a shot anyway. I mean, everyone's had a really good time. That's why we're all here hanging out. So hopefully they come back to that.
Yeah.
Plus, it's a pain trying to sort out 3 people to interview in 1 week. Never mind
You would kick an ass at it. So.
different server groups. I think it could just get very confusing. So initially, I can't see it happening. Whether it does in the end, who knows? Let's wait and see. I'll, roll with it.
Yeah.
Right, so I had a question from Ewok as well, and he said, when did you guys feel you were comfortable with the game mechanics to join the server? Going back to sort of a point we were talking about earlier.
For me, and I told Cage this at a game, at about 150 hours, I started to feel capable. So if anybody's if anybody out there is a new whitelist and hasn't jumped in yet, that's kind of what you're looking at. You're looking at about 150 hours before you really start to get a good feel for things. And you'll be surprised how fast 150 hours will go. It will go real fast. So, but yeah, it's, again, that's why you focus on the right things, because, if you haven't, you get to the 200-hour mark and you figured out that, oh, I needed to be doing this and I'm at the skill cap and, well, shit, what do I do? So that's where, your second character, I got as far in 5 hours with my second character as I did in 2 months with Cornelius. So just because I had a much better idea of what I wanted to do, what I wanted to pursue, and what we needed around the keep. And I understood the mechanics of training a lot better. So.
Yep. I think that's going to be for going into season 3. You're going to do it even faster now.
Right. So yeah, first go 150 hours, second go 8. So that's why I was encouraging, if you're a new whitelist and you haven't been in game yet, get in there and at least start getting the feel for things. It'll help you a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
And even beyond skill wise, because skills are only half of it. Go around and bump into people and see what's out there. I mean, we've seen a lot of the new people come by just Crucible, come at the gate and saying, hey, can you give me a hand with this? Can you want to trade some things? And I know, even though I don't need your beginner hides that you've been out hunting, but you do need a sword, yeah, let's do a trade. I'll help you out. And one thing I really wanted to do is, I know Nikki has, and I know another one of our players has gone out. Here's some horses. We would ordinarily kill these horses for hides because we made so many because we were trying to, level that up. But hey, here's some horses, guys. Here's some food. Nikki's been going around giving food to the new players. If you new players are out there, get out there and find the players on the server who are willing to RP and work with you and stuff. Because the ones on there now are the ones doing their stories. So if you're into stories, go find out who they are now. So next season you can kind of keep your eye out for them.
Right.
Figure out what to get yourself involved with.
So yeah, I think. To start with, I jumped in after about 3 days when Dynasty first kicked off, and I suppose it was slightly different for me because I was playing in season 1. I was on my own for the whole season. I lived in a shack in the woods, and most people would consider that to be crazy. But I learnt a lot about the different skills, what my limits were, what I know I can do, what I couldn't do, and in the end, I think I spent probably close to 150, maybe 200 hours with him, and I hunted and traded for everything that I couldn't do,
Right.
which was great for me because that's exactly what my character was. He was a hunter,
Hmm.
and but as for actually sort of feeling comfortable with the game mechanics, most of the mechanics fine. Combat, I'm still not comfortable with it. I mean, I've never actually swung a sword in anger at a person on that server. Done training swords and bouts, and killed a few wildlife. Well, some wildlife, most of it I ran from. But as for, yeah, I know I'm certainly not comfortable with game mechanics for the combat side.
Yeah, the combat mechanics are probably the most difficult. Just because there is a certain level of timing involved, and ranging is the hard part for me.
Yeah.
That's where I struggle, is learning how far away from somebody you have to be to maximize your strike, and and unfortunately the best way to do that is live combat, and we all know that doesn't last long.
Yeah.
How did you put up with Cage and Decoy for more than 5 minutes? How? For the weapons, I think in episode 1 or 2, I had suggested actually training with real weapons instead of the practice stuff, because you learn a lot faster. Because I spent a lot of time in season 1 playing with wooden stuff and not really making much progress. And then someone suggested it to me in season 2, and pretty quickly I started figuring it out. And then we had to have a healer like sitting next to us, and it was a lot of like 5 minutes of fighting and 20 minutes of sitting down. And then anytime we would punch each other a lot in our town, and you would see him come like, "Get away from me! I have bed rest. Just don't touch me."
Yeah.
And then they start back at one another again.
I definitely think training with live weapons is probably the way forwards. Probably takes longer in the long run, but I think it definitely is the way forwards. Those wooden swords.
Yeah, the wooden swords are great for beating on training dummies because you don't do full damage, and if you want to get up to 9, you can actually swing. Yeah, but yeah, I want to practice the real weapons, and then I practice the wooden ones. They would just why are you using that here? Let's get you a real thing. Oh, okay, cool. McWillie the crap out of me until I actually learn how to fight. Yeah, and then each weapon is different. Every weapon has a different hitbox. So you're just like, it's done.
Yeah, even the two-handed weapons. The difference between a claymore and the Z weapon, I call it, because I can't pronounce that. Yeah, it's Zweihander. Even that's it's a whole different animal, and you wouldn't think that. You'd think a two-handed weapon is a two-handed weapon, but it's not.
To go from the two-handed slashing weapons that, when fighting a person with plate, you'd want to pierce with, because piercing does the most to them. Mm-hmm. So to the best weapon to use against plate is not actually the hammer, it's the Beck to Corbin, which is this giant hammer. Well, it's a long thing, it's got a pole hammer, that's what it is. Then it's got tiny on it. You actually want to use the stab with it, and everything in your mind is telling you, no, I want to swing this because it looks like a hammer. And trying to manage all of that while someone's rushing at you, it's a lot to take in. And chat now? Okay, I'm just gonna ignore that.
They're still going on about stuff. Just kind of leave them to it.
And Cage, you already know the answer to your question, so I'm not going there. Or you think you know? I'll put it like that. You think you know the answer to that question?
There we go. Yeah, so Cage, we have a policy where we won't force people to answer questions if they don't want to. So you'll just have to accept that answer.
She wants proof. Well, what if I say Lillian? What are you going to be? Are you going to be mad if I say Lillian? Because I did meet Lillian first.
was probably the most unlikely to kill you. Yeah.
Well, and see, now they fight over Cornelius, whereas before neither one would, give him the time of day. Now they fight over Cornelius.
So that's the way. Okay, so Killjoy had a question. He wanted to know that with the red zone starting up soon, how do we think the Dynasty server will be affected?
First day it comes out, maybe in the first week or so, Dynasty might drop, but Dynasty is a whitelist server, and the red zone is going to be a sub-server. So, things, right? Like, I'll play red zones, but I like the whole world aspect. Around and maybe get my ass off after 5 minutes. So, I don't know what you guys plan to play on it.
I think we're losing your sound, Buckle. Yeah, I'm gonna kick you and bring you back.
Yeah, kick you.
I don't know what's going on with this thing today.
Sunspots.
Yeah.
Something. I don't know.
Hello.
Oh, that's much better.
Is it? Yeah, BC's being a jerk today.
Yeah, it is a bit. Right, replace your black background.
Now we got 2 trays. Woo!
It's just what the world needs. Not really, no.
Probably more than needs to of me. I don't know, do you play Daisy at all, Trey?
I do. I wish there was more interaction and less Call of Duty kill on sight mentality there.
That sounds like the red zone's for you.
Possibly. But the thing about DayZ is, it's at this point after about a year, it's kind of been there, done that, and role playing within a DayZ environment would save the game for me. I enjoy playing DayZ, but it's not something that I take very seriously. In all honesty, I treat it as a sociological experiment because it's amazing what happens when you take away rules and accountability from people. And
into assholes.
Yeah, the ones that will befriend you and then handcuff you and make you drink disinfectant. Yeah, so.
If only they would do that.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's just. I wish there was more of a chance of a co-op mentality, but it's kind of everybody. It's almost like the battle royal mentality, and I think Jam brought it up the other day that there's enough of that out there that I'm just kind of tired of it. So, but yeah, anything that Decoy would feed me human until I cried. Yeah, probably. But it would be 100 quality human though. I know that. So, but yeah, I think a role play within the DayZ environment would be fun. It's been great watching Jay and Decoy take that on. So that to me is just kind of, and people don't know what to make of it. It freaks them out. So, which I think is even funnier and only furthers my sociological experiment.
Any way you can make other people uncomfortable in DayZ is a bonus.
I agree.
Maybe like chasing them down the road, shouting their name, Mr. C.
Such
as Friday night.
Don't know what you mean.
We were running after a kid Friday night in DayZ. He told us, "Hey, Jordan!" Then he ran in headlong and got himself shot.
Poor Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, straight line is not how you want to run in DayZ.
Yeah. Ewok had a question. Did Mrs. C capture it early on? It was really early on. It was about voices.
Oh, no, I didn't see that one.
It was something about finding the best voice and ones that didn't ruin your throat. Because Trey, you had said that one of the hardest things for you was finding the voice for the character.
Right.
How to find the throat without needing throat lozenges.
Yeah, the entire server for first week season 2.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Everybody had occasion of the growly voice. For me, it's a lot easier to drop my voice down than it is to pinch it and go higher. That's a good way for me to run my voice out real quick. Is if I'm trying to raise it up. But I've got about an hour drive home from work every night, so I'll kind of put myself in character and just whatever sounds right, feels right for what I have in mind. Like Cornelius he had been outside his entire life, and even though he wasn't necessarily an older guy, he sounded it because he's just been exposed to the elements. So everything for him was some sort of like this, and so yeah, it's that's to me that's just way hardest part is just trying to figure out how he speaks, and then my conveying the character properly through my voice. And
yeah, because we have so few ways to really express our emotions in game, things like that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So me, I suck at voices. Completely and utterly. My voices are like Vesper's accents. they change every other word. So I don't do them.
Yeah, well, the same thing is I've been a long car ride home from work too, and I feel like practicing what I preach, do something that makes me uncomfortable. So I made an Italian character, Giuseppe, and so I was trying to practice that really stereotypical Italian accent kind of while talking thing in the car every day coming home from work. And the first day I brought him in the game, I bump into Pax, who's doing this crazy off the wall character, and I lose it the very first sentence. I couldn't even do it. I'm just like, I gotta go. Bye. I couldn't hold it. I couldn't do it. And I didn't bring the character back. I like very minor stuff because yeah, voices are hard, and hard you guys who can do them.
Yep. Yeah, anyone that can change their voice for such a long period and maintain it, massive amounts of respect.
Because I will give you $10 if you do that, but you have to do it for 3 months. Here's this kid McWillie, right? I don't really like role playing. I just want to build and hang out with you guys. Yeah, here we are halfway through season 2. He's got a character with a divine personality. He's hanging out and doing stuff with us. That's what I like about pulling people out of their comfort zone and making our role players out of them.
Yeah, there's that.
All right, so we're not answering the question really about whether or not Cornelius was into Savell or Lillian.
No.
But I thought that they had a thing just by passing them twice, just throwing it out there.
Cornelius and Savell spent the most time together, so read into that what you will.
Okay.
Not you go out
I think Cornelius joked and did the hump move in Savell's general direction one day, and I think he got punched for it. So
I get the impression that Savell was the kind of character that's her way of telling you she loves you by hitting you as hard as she can.
yeah.
You never know.
I have a feeling that they have a bet riding between the two of them to figure out who it was you were into.
Okay, Cage, I'll be honest, it was Merwin.
Straight out of left field. Nice. Brilliant. Okay, so have we got any more questions from chat? But if not, what I want to ask is, what are your plans for your first character in season 3?
No idea yet. No idea yet.
Got any ideas, Buckle?
For myself, I was going to retire the character I'm playing now after the war because he was really there for revenge to put to rest the spirit of his father, kind of thing. And I met so many awesome people who responded so well to this bloodthirsty character and started to show me other sides of things. I think it's worthwhile to bring him back and do a little bit of swords to plowshares kind of thing with him, at least until maybe something pulls him out of that or he gets to live out peacefully. I'd like to do that and see if maybe I can then send this character down the path of his father instead of the path where he was going, and we'll see. And hopefully people are there to hear it. That's what I was going to do in Forgotten Chronicles and start something new with Twitch Dynasty, but then with the wipe coming, I figured maybe that's a perfect time to actually delete that off Forgotten Chronicles because I hadn't done anything other than like dig a hole and bring him over and start that kind of thing, do something new with that same character. But
Fair enough.
you coming back and join us for 3? You actually going to play?
If I'm hoping work's going to be getting a bit quieter now. If a lot of the projects at work are finished, so we'll have more team resources. So hopefully I won't be quite so grumpy and knackered in the evenings. I can actually get on games for more than an hour.
Good.
So
Hope to see you back.
I do hope, because I've been missing it. Sounds weird that you'd miss a second job, but it's
The things you enjoy versus the things you do for cash, the thing you get with it.
I'm of the opinion that some things should never be quantified, and Steam keeps track of the amount of hours you spend the last 2 weeks. And when I realized that I had spent almost as much time in game as I had actually working over the last 2 weeks, I kind of realized I might have a problem and I might need a break.
Yeah, breaks put things into perspective, but it's time spent enjoying oneself is never time wasted, right? So,
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So if whatever, if I pull in a 50-hour Life is Feudal week, but I am just loving every minute of it, whatever, man. That's time I'm not spending out, dropping money out at, going to movies, buying new games, crap like that. I'm just having a blast with my friends.
very true.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Nikki has a problem. She doesn't want to fix it. Yeah, because she's in that game every waking moment she's not at school. I think so is Noah. Both of you. You guys actually do have problems. Forget what I just said.
Yeah, I suppose there does come a point where it stops being acceptable fun and starts becoming a problem.
I'm going to kick McGooley's ass so hard. I knew I should have said uni. I knew I should have said uni.
I know what you
Go
meant.
ahead.
Just picking holes, as usual.
Do we have any more questions that we perhaps missed? If so, just throw them back in chat so we can grab them.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
I think we got them all.
Can't see anything.
That's what I get every day. Every day playing with these assholes.
And you still do it.
Yeah. Can I have some good food and company at Civil Chef and not get the shit kicked out of me every day?
If you're gonna be part of the family, you gotta get jumped in, man. That's what I told Jay. When we were talking about bringing Windrush in, it's like, you're gonna have to get jumped in. That's the only way to do it.
Brilliant. Does anybody want Buckle Crucible selling him for free? It's like you're being sold, Buckle.
She'll do what? Alright, let's end this now before this turns into people
Yeah, that's gonna.
picking on me and selling me. Hi, Dad. Thanks for stopping by, man.
Pretty sure that might be against Twitch terms of service, selling people, just putting it out there.
Oh my God! How did you deal with these people?
I'm a sick individual. What can I say? I love them. They're my people now, man.
Brilliant. Alright, great. Alright, well, if there's nothing else from chat, any last words from either you two? Well, that sounded a bit dark. I didn't mean it like that. Any last words?
I'm just grateful to Cage and Decoy for giving me a shot, and here I am. Like I said, make me a little bit better every single day. Played the game, and I consider them to be honest, true friends now. So I got that much out of it. So
that's awesome.
One thing for me is, like Melly's saying, season ends essentially Thursday. So whenever the wipe happens, kicking off Friday. Clear your weekends if you're into it. I'm hoping to see a nice full server that I have to spam connect to get back into. And I don't know, maybe we want to skip next weekend and give it a week of season 3.
I suspect so. I guess, okay. We're not really going to have much to talk about.
Yeah, I mean,
we've kind of wrapped up season 2 here.
Yeah, let's reassess during the week. Maybe we'll figure out something there, but maybe we'll give it a pass to start a weekend.
Yeah, unless my creative juices suddenly come up with something interesting to do next week. I suspect we'll probably skip it.
Okay. All right, sounds good. So we'll see you guys a week after season 3 starts, which would be, I don't know, let's say the 6th.
That'd be the 19th, 20th?
Probably 20th. I'd like to do a beer stream on the 19th, so we'll see. But
sounds good. There you go. Beer stream on the 19th.
Or I can swap those around and do it on the 20th, and we'll do this instead. Either way. So yeah.
20th will probably work for me, because that's patching weekend.
Okay.
So Saturdays can go on quite late.
Alright, sounds good then. Alright guys, so we'll see you next on March 20th. Trey, thank you for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. And talk to you guys soon.
Alright.
Yeah, speak to you all. Speak to everybody else in a couple of weeks. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks to all the hosts and follows. And have fun in the last week. And more importantly, have fun in season 3. See you soon, guys. Love ya.